Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode of In the Trenches. We've lined up a very special guest to share with you tonight. He is a music industry entrepreneur working with artists such as Lee Brice and Parker McCullum. His name is Chase Lauer. Yo, Chase, how are you, my brother?
I am great, man. Excited, elated to be here, honestly.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. No,
so you have not been to my house.
I have not. This is
the
long,
first time.
long overdue.
Here we are with cameras now. And
yeah, it looks great. You guys are doing awesome. Shout out to Troy. I know it's a lot of hard work. None of this runs without him. And
he's surrounded by the blinking lights.
Yeah, but shout out to you because I know this is we've talked about something like this for a long time. You've wanted to have an outlet to be able to share not just your expertise, but to have a community of people that that can share their experiences. So this is awesome. I'm happy to be here.
It was like, how many times do I come to your house and just sit and talk old stories? Over time, I find myself like, okay, I'm going to all these cool people's houses, hey, what are you doing today? Trying to work. Hey, can I bother you? So I can come over and talk. And anyway, that's where
No, it's great.
I guess like Potsy said, I guess I need to have a podcast to have friends.
No, I wish there were times we would have recorded some of those conversations at some of my houses or even yours. Because there were, some of them could probably never air because they were just like kind of our mutual airing of grievances in the industry.
Yes,
and talking
absolutely.
each other off ledges.
Absolutely.
But a lot of brilliance and a lot of real. I've heard so many cool stories from you over the years, and just I value that time that we spent, no matter how constructive or destructive.
I kind of got you young, not young, but you're earlier
green for sure.
Green.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, you're a daddy though.
Yes, yeah,
You're a daddy, like how, you're in the weeds.
I'm in the weeds. 4 months, 4-month-old little girl, Sullivan. She's amazing. It's and we talked a lot. You were definitely there for me and throughout the process. And a lot of people were like, "Hey, it's overnight. It'll change your life. The first time you hold your baby girl, it'll change your life." And I didn't necessarily feel that change the first time. It was maybe the next day I was holding her for a while, and it was like you feel it, but I didn't feel any different. I just felt like my perspective shifted like a lot, like overnight, to the point that it was like
a focus.
I recognized when you would come to my house and you'd be talking about different things, and it was like your focus was always on providing for your family and like this unit that you've built. And I was like, okay, I have that now. I understand what you're saying, and it kind of that fuck you attitude of like,
yes,
I get it, man. I get it even more.
It makes you defend your art a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah. Think about it from the standpoint of, looking at your two boys, my two boys, you're like, I want to leave something for them, a legacy, and part of that is ownership.
Yeah.
And, holding on to at least your artistic integrity to some degree, in a business right now where I feel that that's kind of going sideways.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that, I'm sure. We'll save that for drink too.
Yeah.
But yes, I remember when we first had Ryder, our oldest now, who's 9. I would honestly say I wasn't the greatest infant father for him. I just went right into work. And that was when I was doing Lee, I Don't Dance.
Yeah.
Hell, he was at my house editing while my wife was breastfeeding. You know what I mean? That was the old house. But I plunged into work. And so on the second one, I definitely took...
Yeah.
I knew where to put work aside.
Yeah.
And take these moments that I wasn't going to get again. So I had to learn twice, but
I was really lucky because I'm a little older to be having my first child. I was 36. I'm 37 now, and I had a lot of people in my life, a lot of mentors, and a lot of guidance that kind of like made me aware of that, and we're like, hey man, this time is really fast. It's really hard, but it moves by so quick. Like, cherish it. And I personally don't necessarily want to do it again, so I'm trying to take it.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
trying to take
hey,
it all in.
that to be said, 4 months in, you agreed, and you're willing to come here
Man,
give us your time.
of course.
I appreciate it, because honestly, I really wanted you on this for the reasons of I'm trying to curate different guests that I feel can shed light for me, but also give more of a robust feel of like what the business is like. I know I've got fans in Norway and Saudi Arabia and Kuwait City.
Yeah.
Like I'm at a point where like I get these DMs, and like I can't do enough in 2 sentences.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I want to do more. Like you said, I do. I love to coach.
Right.
I do. I love to mentor. It's the underdog in me.
Yeah.
Truly. So anyway, thank you for.
Well, anything. I mean, to that point, you were very instrumental in my career in the early days of like you said, I was very green when we met. We'll collectively tell this story, because I don't know if either of us will remember it perfectly, but
you, in my opinion, the reason I find your story very valuable to tell is because you came from a content-based era, that I did not come up through. And so I still love to learn about that. I'm intrigued how your generation absorbed that content and aspired to do such. So, but you bridged a gap. You bridged a gap to management, not necessarily in management, but like a subcategory,
Sure.
I call it, where it's like management doesn't know or even care how to deal with the visual side of what they do, marketing, advertising, apps, all those things. So you're able to provide a wealth of visual knowledge both to management and advertise or to clients.
right.
And you've done an impeccable job of that, to where you now are exclusively with Lee. Not exclusively, but you do a lot of things.
I'm
you
his
do a lot of
creative
different
director, but yeah, I deal with a lot of his brand partnerships on the execution of deliverable side, right? So there will be X number.
You
of
got your hands in a lot of cookie jars. I know that. I mean, the entrepreneurial chase.
Yeah. But yes, a lot of I deal with Lee a lot, that and will, as long as he wants me around, because as you know, he's the best in the business. I'm very, very lucky to work with him, and a lot of the opportunities that working with him has afforded me, and the places it's taken me. And he's just, I'll work for that man until forever, as long as he wants me.
How has the business changed for you? Saying like, okay, so when you came to Nashville, you wanted to do what?
I came wanting to manage. I wanted to be in management. I moved here with my buddy John Gurney, who I went to college with, and we came up in the Entourage era, right?
Sure,
where it was like you watch that, you kind of formulate which character you are. I never saw myself as like a Vinny Chase, right? I saw Gurney as a Vinny Chase,
Sure.
And I saw myself as more of an E, right? Like that driving force behind the face that is a champion of the talent, even more so than maybe the talent at times, right? Mm-hmm. I knew that was a role that I wanted to fill, and that was a service that I could provide at a high level. But I didn't know what that entailed, what that meant, what a manager was. I just knew what Entourage had taught me. Like, I think a lot of people in my generation that got into the entertainment industry in one way or another could probably identify with in some way. But no, so I moved to Nashville. I had worked in like independent hip hop. Shout out to my buddy Mark Goon, Mike Stud. I'd done some concerts with. He's a guy
From
in
a
Nashville
promotional
here now.
level.
Yeah, I was throwing shows. I'd thrown a show for MGK at my college early before he did the Bad Boy deal and stuff. Like I had a music blog in college.
Sure. So you were wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, I knew like
grinding.
But I was at University of Missouri at their journalism school studying advertising, like a very kind of prestigious program. So I was supposed to go like work at an ad agency. I was going to be a copywriter. Like that was kind of my thing.
Okay.
But I was very entrepreneurial. I started a web design company with a couple Korean foreign exchange students there on student visas at Mizzou that couldn't speak English well. They'd bring me in. I'd do the pitches. They taught me some coding for like some content management systems like WordPress, Joomla, and Drupal back in the day. And so like we built a web design company. So I had some gear, like some cameras. We were doing like testimonial videos and stuff. And so then I was able to like kind of shoot some photos for my buddies putting out music. And I was like, I saw what a camera could kind of do as far as like how I could get my access into music early.
I was going to ask you, like, what was the motivation to pick up the camera and start editing? And because where I met you, you were, well,
it was kind of
camera.
It was kind of out of necessity.
Okay.
So Justin Clough comes into the story. Mm-hmm. Like I met Justin when he was freshly out of high school. He was like 18 years old. We had hired him to shoot some Mark Goon, some independent rap videos. And I just saw that this kid was like immensely talented.
I bet you're,
even then,
stoked to see him. He just won.
He just won his first.
Year, right?
He won his CMA for Video of the Year.
Yeah.
He got an ACM on the last round. Yeah. Like he's finally getting the recognition and notoriety. Not that he's not someone that cares about that. I care about it probably for him more than he does. But I met him young, and again, I wanted to be I wanted to be on the management side. So I even think I made Justin like give me executive producer credit on a couple of his videos and stuff just to like have my name on things. But so I never like had the need to pick up a camera at that point because I had Justin. I was bringing Justin in on stuff. I started to try and him and another buddy of mine, I tried to book him out on gigs. And there was one gig that we were going out on to shoot for Goon, and he got his camera and a bunch of gear and hard drive stolen off the train. He had fallen asleep.
Where was this, in Nashville?
This was before we were even in Nashville. He was coming from, I think, Chicago or Milwaukee to St. Louis. Okay. And so at that point, I had to go buy a camera. And that was at a point I couldn't even afford to buy a camera. I had to get my dad to go buy a Canon 60D with a kit lens. And we went out and we shot 2 music videos on that. And it was but then I owned a camera, right? So then I started kind of playing around more, and I was always had a video camera in hand, but never like understood the art side of it. I was just like capture things, man, because it's funny to have video to look back on.
Did you grow up watching music videos?
I grew up watching like Jackass, right? So my need for a camera
was music videos off of MTV. Did you have to go?
No, TRL. I grew up in the heyday of TRL, dude. I was familiar with your work before I was familiar with who you were.
Really?
I used to be like, I remember when we first started hanging out and became buddies, I would like brag to my homies back home. I'd be like, yeah, dude, he's got more videos retired on TRL as a director than any fucking artist of all time, blah, blah, blah. I'd rattle off like, D12. Yeah. D12 was always super impressive, right? We were all big Eminem fans. And man, so I watched music videos. I liked music videos, but I liked movies. I was more into film. Like I went and visited NYU. I thought like I wanted to go into a film school.
So you had the cinema tour.
I just didn't
spirit,
but I had no understanding or idea of what that entailed, what it looked like.
But none of us did. What steered you to? I mean, here you are today. But like, what?
Yeah. I grew up in a small town in Illinois. It just didn't seem even likely or possible to
LA wasn't the move.
No.
You knew music. You knew what you knew. Wasn't far. From here.
I kind of got drug into music really, and film just kind of like by the time I got to college age, like journalism sounded that was cool. Like I can go do that. But in the back of my mind, even today, like me and my brother will constantly like rattle off movie ideas, little one sheets, little like synopsis of, I never want to direct a movie. I don't think that that's anything I would want to undertake, but I like writing. I would want to like write a script, but I would need someone like you or someone like Justin to come in that y'all are able to like visualize and see things as they need to play out. I'm like more of a scenario and words on paper type. Sure. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I can visualize like what I want it, but I can't like go articulate that to someone else the way y'all can. You know?
How did you come in contact with Sam Hunt then? When you got
Man,
to tour with him?
Gurney and I were visiting Nashville. We were crashing on Tyler or he goes by Fillmore now, but Tyler Fillmore at the time, his couch. We were all Mizzou boys. And because I was working in hip hop, like independent hip hop at the time, I had a buddy named Nick Shuley who was buddies with George Curry, who happened to be managing this kid coming up named Sam Hunt. So we started listening to his mixtape like that. That day, I get this email from Nick Shuley. We go to the Y, a group of us, to play basketball, and I see him sitting there. And so I just walk up
Sam
to
go to Mizzou?
No, Sam didn't go to Mizzou. But
Okay.
so we're in Nashville at this point, right?
Okay.
So I'm in Nashville. I just moved to Nashville. I don't even think I had a permanent residence, but I see Sam. My buddy just told me about him. So I just walk up and I introduce myself. And I'm like, hey, just moved to town. My buddy knows your manager, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, what's up? Are you guys going to hoop? So we just went and played basketball for like 2 hours, shot the shit. He was doing the first music video for his song House Party. Like not the official one, like the mixtape version.
Sure.
Invited us out to hang out, met his manager, started going to coffee with his manager and Sam. Kind of what I was used to in independent hip hop of having a videographer out all the time, like capturing clips, throwing them out on Instagram back when it was 15-second clips and shit. Like,
Sure.
But this like real time capture and put it out type mentality, right? That didn't exist in country music. It like, so the things that I was used to and kind of the ideas I was rattling off were like hitting home with Sam and his manager Brad. And they were like, okay, maybe you start coming out on the road. And I had that camera, right? That I had got from the time that the gear was stolen.
Sure.
So that's really when I cut my teeth. That's really when I started.
So you did kind of just fall into it.
I fell into it. I was like, I got a camera.
Sam Hunt's not a bad one to fall into.
Well, so you got to understand though, at the time he had success as a songwriter. I think Kenny Chesney Come Over, he was a writer on it, and that had come out. So and he was just starting to like aggregate songs for his solo stuff, and he was doing a lot of like college campuses, like fraternity parties and stuff. We were in a van in a trailer, like it was early days. But we would go out and I'd be on stage and like just shooting shit in real time. We would stop, pull over at like a McDonald's to get a Wi-Fi signal. I'd be editing down like these 15-second clips. We'd put them out on Instagram like 2 hours after the show was over. Then I would start seeing fans that were at the shows see themselves in like the crowd shots that we had put out. They'd start tagging each other. We started seeing his socials grow. And it was like his star power and what was about to happen in his career and my affiliation with that and kind of being seen as the visual representation. Like I was, putting out the visuals and stuff.
Yes.
Was, I mean, just divine. Like I know
because that's what it was with Yellow Wolf.
Yeah, it was,
it was also, and I said it also before. I said, look, guys, I'm committed to shooting every dang day,
right?
Every fucking day. We're gonna do bombs, but we're gonna shoot for an hour. I'll drive in for an hour, boom, boom, come home, photos.
Yeah.
Within 15 minutes, photos would be posted.
No,
nothing was precious.
I remember you would always say, if it's dope, post it. We'll go get more.
Boom. We'll get another.
I know.
We'll go get another. And that's what it was for us. And kind of like that was my introduction to being perceived as a content person.
Right.
People would be seeing me on, not seeing me as a director who's done, hundreds of videos and such, but like you're the content guy for Yellow Wolf.
Yeah, there's no respect there.
I didn't know. I didn't know how to take it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
it's almost like when you get told influencer, you're like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah,
hold on, I'm a director, I'm a photographer.
Right.
Whoa.
Well,
but
I think
I understand the power. What you're saying is when your imagery is, I mean, fuck, dude, we're all directly responsible now for the imagery that these artists are putting out.
Right.
I mean, we are building their careers visually. I don't care who it is. If you're shooting out on the road with these artists and they're posting to, millions of people daily or weekly, you're branding them.
Yeah, it's
and to me, I mean that's
if it's consistent though. There's a lot of acts that don't have that. They don't have a guy that does everything consistent. It's just like hired guns here and there.
Do we need visuals? Because I just said I shot visuals of Wolf daily.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, I don't think the recaps, and it just gets mundane and things. Like, video is a very specific thing.
Yeah.
You could shit the bed with video.
Yeah. It can be really bad.
Photo,
you can
do harm.
Yeah.
With shooting or exposing or just the tone of how you shoot the video can be wrong of your subject, and it just gives the.
And normally that comes with someone not having familiarity with who they're shooting, or there not being a strong consensus of what the brand is that you can even articulate to the person you're sending out shooting. I think really Tanner Gallagher is probably the shining example in at least country music. If not, I don't follow a lot of other music, but at least in our genre,
yes,
because everything is shot with such he's helping sell the lifestyle, right? He's helping sell the brand through the visuals, and it's a direct representation of Hardy and what he does out on the road.
Why? How is it that way? I can tell you, it's the relationship.
It's the access and the trust.
The trust.
It's the trust that Hardy has with Tanner, and
it's Tanner's going to deliver. That Tanner doesn't need to have a checklist. That Tanner has got it. He has proven himself.
I bet Tanner has a vault of footage that could possibly cancel Hardy's career. I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm just saying, how it is out on the road, right?
I know what you mean.
And Hardy knows that'll never see the light of day, right? Same way with Lee. Lee hasn't done anything bad, right? But there's just a trust in knowing that, hey man, nothing's gonna slip through the cracks. You know what I mean? Everything that is that you've shot that's gonna be a representation of me, I can trust that you understand what that should be, right?
There's so much of this business. See, I came up through production.
Yeah.
You had to know certain things.
Right.
Or you weren't getting through the gates. It was film and this and that. And how you go about learning it is similar to today. But you didn't get a free pass to just... now, I wouldn't say today's a free pass, but I'm just saying to shoot video daily of artists, I wonder if we need that kind of content. That's one of the things I wonder if we've provided too much reality to what we're doing. Photo can go a long ways, but it doesn't fit with the algorithm. See, now we need video.
Right.
So is it and I'll say it, I believe I came from an era where it was art.
Yeah.
And then go make from that art piece, delegate how you can go get the assets filled.
Right.
Yes, I agree there's more assets to fill nowadays. I get that. But I do feel we have moved into a lane where it's content first. Oh, is there art? It's good enough if there isn't. And I've said that before.
Right.
I've said it till I'm blue in the face. But I wonder who are we bringing up? What kind of image makers are we teaching?
Yeah.
We're not teaching the craft. Are we learning the craft?
Yeah.
In the film world, are music videos dead?
Ooh, I have a pretty strong take on that.
Well, I wonder. I can talk for hours just on that subject alone.
I don't think music videos are dead, but I think the way that we make music videos is that I think this idea, and again, I'm speaking to Nashville, but the idea is...
Oh, you know what? No. I used to think, I'm speaking to Nashville. No, you know what?
But I'm
it's
speaking
going
to
everywhere.
to the country music genre. That's all I know.
I know, it's all you know, but people are taking heed. It's the
but
same.
I think it's always been single coming out. Got to get a photo shoot. Got to get a music video. Even here, it's got to have a lyric video. Got to have a visualizer. Sure. Now it's got to have a TikTok campaign. Blah blah blah. But there's like all these things. There's all these boxes you have to check for a release, right? But that's, I think, the most thought that goes into it is finding people to check the box. There needs to be like a purpose behind why you're shooting the music video. If the song is the product that you're selling, which it is, that's what we're doing. We're the song. We're not selling music videos. We're selling songs, consumption of the song. Then the music video needs to be a commercial that drives consumption. Sure. And if it's not, then it probably shouldn't be made. That's it. It's not that music videos are bad or music videos are dead. It's that the thoughtlessness and the carelessness that went into making music videos for so long, I think that should die, because there's so many ways to take those budgets strategically and still do creative things that don't fit into the cookie cutter mold of a music video. Things that I think would even excite directors and like guys of your caliber, where it's like, okay, we're not shooting a music video, but here's a list of deliverables that we need, and here is the creative freedom and a budget to go find ways to do this shit in a way that's going to be brandable and set this artist apart and drive consumption of the product, which is the song. Sure.
You said a few key things in there. Budget.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can find those, yeah.
And I mean, if you can find them, I guess, has the state of the business taken a permanent shift? And I think it has. I think we've shifted completely into a content-based. I mean, maybe I'm a dinosaur for saying that now. Like, yeah, duh, dude, we've been there for 10 years. But, like, we are there. We are seeing a devaluing of a music video. We're like,
right,
50 grand. What? 50
it's
grand is like,
hard to justify. It's hard to justify spending that money.
Spending.
Where's the return?
50, exactly.
There's not a huge return.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just trying to get to the facts.
Right.
I luckily lived through the golden era. So
yeah, dude. I've never sniffed a budget that you guys would get back then. Jeez.
Oh, dude, man. Well, videos for me have always played. I mean, that's the reason I got into this.
Yeah.
I didn't know the word content. Worth. That wasn't a word.
It wasn't.
It wasn't a word.
There wasn't the capacity to do it. Like cell phone footage, like all this shit. I mean, anybody, dude. It's impossible not to be shooting content at this point. Think about how often. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. That didn't exist. There was a barrier, that existed where the art was a little more protected back then. Mm-hmm. There wasn't the. Not everybody was capable of just grabbing a camera and shooting something. The idea that you even had, production experience or came up with crews or had like access to these things, it didn't really exist a lot of places, right? There were very few places that you could be where there was a community, like a film community for music videos. Sure. You were just in the heart of it in the heyday.
I was.
Just crushing.
It was. Yeah.
Dude, my favorite story, I don't know if you've told this on the podcast, so we can skip it if you have, but no, I think it needs to be told. Like when you got the Bone Thugs, when you got the Bone Thugs video and you were working in what, telemarketing or whatever?
I was working in a telemarketing company, shamelessly. Spamming. Honestly, spamming random accounts, talking about like we would have 15 accounts and just talk about how dope the movies are. And my agent rep Tommy Labuda hit me up and says, "Hey, are you sitting down?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm blasting some movie right now." And he's like, "You just booked Bone Thugs and Harmony." I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
How old are you?
19. Just turned 19.
Just a baby.
And baby. I had spiky hair. Trying, I just
I've
moved to
seen
LA.
the photos.
Yeah, it's somewhere in here. And I don't know if I'm telling the story right, but like I remember like literally just going and walking out.
I can picture
I didn't say goodbye.
It's a scene in a movie for me.
I just logged out and never collected the check. It was peace. I'm out. And I've never looked back from that moment on. And Frank was my directing partner when we booked it. He worked at the same telemarketing. We'd be blasting movies, Frank Boren. We'd be blasting movies, but he wasn't working that day. So that was my special little moment to Bone Thugs. But that video changed my life. It was my first big job, like where it was like multiple days.
Right.
And like you're in charge of like a
at
location.
19 years old.
Yeah.
But you knew, like you were going to be a director.
Absolutely.
Like you knew at a very, very early age. I envy that about you. Justin is similar in that lane, but you guys were like all in, knew it, never questioned it, got it, achieved it, crushed it.
Yeah.
Probably exceeded it.
I mean, that's kind of where photo got involved.
Right.
I was doing, what was it? Oh my God. See, ooh, that brought, wow, I never told the story.
Let's go.
I did a Jason Aldean, My Kind of Party video.
Yeah.
And,
that's where you got your nickname, by the way, right?
Yeah, Jason, nickname is Spidey. Crazy story. Holy shit. Just thought of it. No, it's gonna blow your mind. But it's not a great story. But anywho, My Kind of Party video. Anyway, it was a 1-day shoot. Anyway, my producer, Teresa, is a beautiful woman, Italian. She would we had a hellish night shoot planned. Anyway, the owner of the property wouldn't let us shoot because they found out that it was a radio call. So they said you needed event insurance. Well, Scott Cunningham, who, by the way, is one of the biggest DPs in the business, which we will have on the podcast, was my producer and executive producer of my company. Anyway, he's like, we have $9 million worth of insurance.
We're good.
We could own the mineral rights. Anyway, long and the short, we're getting to the point where if I don't make a decision, because we're not getting to shoot here, I'm going to lose $60,000 of a $90,000 budget for that day. So I grab a cop. I'm like, yo, get in the car. I ordered a cop. Drove around the corner because I remember I saw these cool bridges, which, by the way, are no longer there. But it was like going a block away or something. I saw it. I yelled at the cop, can I own this street and this street? I need to own this shit till sunup. Yes, cool. Get everybody over here. I mean, you were moving this huge thing over here. I forget why I'm telling this story, by the way.
Well, keep going. We'll get to it.
Oh, yes, my producer. Yes. And anyway, we overcome, we triumph all the odds. And there's this rad photo where, I mean, literally, my DP had to catch a flight. I sent him a gone because I had to shoot the whole video in 2 hours.
Yeah.
I opened up the camera houses that had cameras, got another camera because there was film. I was shooting 16 millimeter film. And I had 2 hours. I said, before you leave for a flight, Miles McConaughey, my DP, before you get to that flight, light this son of a bitch so I can hose this motherfucker down. And that's what I did, dude. I mean, he left, caught a flight. Everybody, all the extras stayed. It was My Kind of Party.
Yeah.
And anyway, long and the short, 2 days later, Scott Cunningham stayed at my producer's house, Veronica.
Sorry, Veronica.
Well, yeah, we'll be sorry in a second. And she, he stayed in her son's bedroom, who left to stay with the grandparents or whatever. Long and the short, Scott flies home because he was executive producing the job. And 2 days later, I get a phone call that brought me to my knees. That she was murdered in her house, and 2 days after the job, and our petty cash was stolen and stuff like that. Anyway, around in that time when I finished that video, and it was up for Video of the Year, lost to Taylor, of course. But it's a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
That stopped me from wanting to do videos.
Yeah.
I stopped. And by necessity, I just got back into photo.
Right.
So photo was kind of what brought back the art or the fun
Yeah.
of what we're doing again, because I was crushed.
Right.
Crushed.
That's traumatic.
And then you flash forward to where you and I met, because my next door neighbor around this time ended up being Lee Bryce.
Right.
And I think Lee and I were going through something together during when he was doing I Don't Dance. He was feeling like, I don't know if he even said this to you, he told me in the garage way back when, you know. He was like, man, I just feel like the music's not pure enough and this and that. And we would watch like Pearl Jam 20, and he'd like Eddie Vedder, and like, you know, he wanted to make a record that felt more human and stuff like that.
Right.
But anyway, that's a crazy long story that basically led us to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So you, like, about the time I think I was with Sam was probably when you were having those garage conversations with Lee. Right. And then shortly after that, I'm looking at a Yellow Wolf photo behind you, but that's when you were kind of doing the Yellow Wolf stuff. So that's where I was familiar with you in Nashville through the work you were doing with Yellow Wolf, because to me it was like I used it in pitches as I was like trying to get work with other artists. I would be like, look at Yellow Wolf shit. He doesn't even have to be in the photo. And you know it's a Yellow Wolf photo. Like the album cover with the wolf on the wall. Yeah. That's a prime example. You know that's a Yellow Wolf album cover. You don't have to say anything about it, but you know it is, and he's not in the photo. And that brandability that you were bringing to him is something that I would preach. But yes.
Finish what you're saying, but I want to interrupt for 1 second, because like the way that photo came about, when you say he's not in the photo, he's so much in that photo. Because I was at his house, and I had shot a ton of Polaroids. Yeah. And a ton of pictures. And he wanted to process what he was going to do for the album packaging. So all these photos were strewn about, and he's trying to figure this all out. And we're at the bar. We're at a bar at his house, the counter and table, photos everywhere. And he's like sitting around I'm drumming up a photo live, you know, like on Photoshop for him to see a square crop. And he gets like, his attention goes somewhere else. He takes his camera and goes and shoots this taxidermy photo on the wall. He comes back, and I'm fucking around with photos, and he's like, hey, Spidey, this would make a good album packaging. I'm like working on photos. I'm like,
you son of a bitch.
Don't post that. Don't post it. I went over, I snapped like 4 clicks, and then boop, boop, done. He's like, that's it.
But again, so yes, he is in the photo in the sense that he saw it. It was his idea and everything. But my point was, his face isn't in that photo. Yeah. And yes, it's a wolf and whatever. But the way that you were running his Instagram specifically at that point, where you were just like, if it's dope, post it, fire it off, we'll get more shit. That mentality. There were photos where he's not in it, and it's like it would appear on feed. You wouldn't be on his page, but on feed, and you would know.
Absolutely.
That's it. I'm at the point now where I can tell if it's a Spidey photo. I thought at the time, that's a Yellow Wolf photo. But what I now understand is, I was recognizing that's a Spidey photo.
Thank you.
To the point that even, what did you just shoot recently? You shot Hardy and Laney
Hardy,
and Jelly.
Jane, then I went to South.
But there were multiple photographers on that gig, right? So like the social posts that came out, I guarantee you, like I know which one was a Spidey. They're not individually tagged, right?
No.
I know which one's a Spidey photo and which one is whoever else was out there. Like, it's very.
What gives you that?
You taught me this. Access. What can you shoot when you have the access you have? When you're hired to be there to be the guy, and you're allowed to be on stage and shit. Like, there's gonna be a bunch of people in the pit that get the first 3 songs, you know, and they can get those photos from the front, and they can get good angles with the good lighting and shit or whatever, but there's going to be 100 of them. And it's going to be those first 3 songs. There's not going to be the opportunity to go out during a moment and capture the moment. And I know how you work. You're crawling around stage. You're finding when the light's going to hit right. You know when the moment's going to come, and you're prepared for it. And it's that access translates through the frame, right? There's more than just, I see more than one frame in that photo. I know what your perspective was in that moment. And then obviously it takes a pro to like capture that. Sure. But even to be able to set yourself up for that. So I think it's the access that I see in the photo that I was taught by you. I think all my best photos are with that in mind. With like,
really?
Yeah.
Did I break it down like that?
You did. You've broken down a lot of things you probably don't remember.
I don't.
But no, it was like one of those intense moments where I think like you had seen like potential in me, but knew I probably wasn't like tapping. It wasn't great shit. You know what I mean? You loved me. Yeah. You'd seen glimmers of maybe like I could be great.
I know what I would have said to you, and tell me if this is anything different.
Yeah.
I would say, because slow down, control the corners.
This was like
that's so much of what I see in everyone. It's like control the corners. What does that mean?
This was like 8 years ago, so you weren't.
Dude, your
method wasn't as poised at that point. You literally fucking grabbed me and you were like, "Listen, motherfucker, you're hired here to do a job, and you're the only one with access. Get the access. Go get behind that motherfucker when he's center stage in the spot." Like that's how you were communicating at that point. And I was like. It was the ass kicking I needed though. It was like, hey motherfucker, you're here, do it. Yeah. Like quit pussyfooting around, quit like this imposter syndrome bullshit. Like fucking throw your nuts on the table, act the part, and go do the job, and get the fuck out of the way when you're done. You know, like
because I do remember the transition when I came in and when I started to kind of phase out of shooting Lee Bryce.
Yeah,
and you kind of came in where we met at a casino in California or something.
It was West Coast. It was Dakota. It might have been a Dakota.
Yeah, it was like double booked or something. I was traveling with him from a thing, and I knew of you, and I'm like, even before I met you that moment, I'm like, who is this motherfucker?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I have that effect.
Where did this guy come from? You know, and then I found, was I doing like a Napa Valley run or something that led me into, I don't know. I think I
all I know is this is very early. So like I had just stopped working with Sam, and John Stone had introduced me to Lee. And this was like one of the first times I was going out to shoot for Lee. And it was very much content. It was very much like, hey, we want recap video. We want what you did for Sam. We want that, right? That's what I would get hired for and shit for years.
And why would they hire me then?
You were hired for art. You were hired for, hey, man, we need new live photos for press kit, for ad mats, for buyers, you were there to get the money shots, right? But what was happening at that time was there was such a need for more than that.
Feed the machine.
You were becoming less cost effective.
Feed the machine.
Yeah.
That's what I say all the time.
And it's nothing against you. You are worth every penny that you charge for what you do, but it was just becoming that, hey, we can go get this kid for a whole run. We can bank all this content. You know what I mean? So I remember I showed up. I flew in. You were already on the bus. I did not know you were going to be there, right? I know who you are. I'm like a fan, you know? And so I go onto the bus and you're there and I'm like, I got my bag and shit and I'm like green as hell. Don't know Lee that well. Intimidated by you. And I was like, fuck, why am I? Spidey's here. Why am I here? So I remember like right away I told you I was a fan. I was like, hey dude, I know you're out here to do like the high-end photo stuff. Like I'm just here for content. Like I remember making it very clear out the gate. Like I'm not here as competition, dude. Sure. I love you. I'm a fan. I would love to learn from you, but this is what I'm here to do. This is my job. And I remember even that first night, I shot photos of you shooting Lee, and then was like
that was
very
the
proud
olive
to
branch.
show. Yeah,
you're yes, that was the olive branch that did it for me.
Right.
Because I get a lot of people that follow me and I'm like, I know they're somewhat 2 degrees of separation from me in town, you know. But
Sure.
I try to follow people I know.
Yeah.
And can kind of like, you know, I bother people.
Yeah.
I make sure that I bother you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, 15 minutes here and there. It's just love. It's just make sure you're good.
Of course.
You know, and I follow those, you know, but that's an interesting story that we both have the same recollection of it.
It's super vivid.
But
for
I
me,
understood it. But that was a poignant moment because I did, in my mind, I saw a niche that I don't fulfill.
Right.
I don't go out there with the Sonys or the 5Ds and shoot video and then get right back in and color and sound design and you know, and make these brand pieces nightly or whatever.
Right. But I remember at that time you started to like kind of take an interest in it. You were like, all right, show me. Okay, you're out here by yourself. You do the editing, like color, whatever, LUTs, like that shit. You know, like you were kind of like. You were interested in it.
That.
Yeah, you were interested in it. But that's when we started meeting and shit. Because you were...
Dude, we went and shot that Yellow Wolf.
The Yellow Wolf video that never came out. That's a fucking fantastic piece.
Ride or Die.
Ride or Die.
We went
it was
and shot
you and me.
that. Remember you and...
That was it. I was your first Troy.
I remember that.
Yeah.
What a trip.
Dude, we toured with Yellow Wolf for a week.
California.
Opening for Deftones. They were doing honestly hand-poked tattoos on the bus at night. It was
sick.
That video is sick. It never saw the light of day.
Well,
and it was literally you and me. That's it. We rented that shitty little hotel on
Vegas, where I shot Devil in My Veins.
Dude, they're playing poker and shit. I mean, we colored that shit. We edited that shit. You and me, we did that
raw
whole video.
Now I bet you, because Clever is back in the mix.
Yeah. It needs to be
released.
released.
And I know that Bones and everyone have kind of talked and stuff. That was during a very tumultuous time in the band, but like that video is so...
It's really, really good. Here's the thing. I have a drive with all the footage, like the backup drive, but I don't have the final edit. I don't know where it would even exist.
I have a rough mix.
Okay, yeah.
I have it.
Yeah.
I showed it to him, and he got... Wolf, that is. He got kind of watery-eyed.
Dude,
he goes, we need to release this at some point.
It's so good. It was, and that was such a cool thing for me at the time.
Remember how raw that was, dude?
Bro.
Raw. Clever's bathing in the river in
bathed
Portland.
with him. It was amazing.
Yes.
It was fantastic. It was like, dude, that trip, that was such a cool trip.
Bro, I remember...
We were just grinding.
See, that's what this is about, man. I completely forgot about that.
Dude,
now I'm like, oh, shit.
I have screens from that video on my website.
I remember we would stand... Yeah, dude, that was...
Yeah, it was cool.
So we were on something, you and me.
We did a lot of shit like that.
You were introducing me to, I think, the content world.
Yeah. The problem was, here's the problem. I wasn't the right guy to be introducing you to that world because I was a DIY, like
you were.
I mean, is no technical training still to this day, an embarrassing lack of knowledge of technical things, but for what I've done in my career.
Yeah, but hold up. Keep that thought. Troy was just looking at YouTube trying to figure out before you showed up how to run the audio. So I mean, he's DIY too.
Oh no, well
he's still figuring his shit out.
Well, dude, all right. So you were inaccessible at a certain point in Nashville, like to the young cats, right? Inaccessible. You didn't.
I know nothing of what you mean.
It's not for a lack of access you would have offered. It's just like you were almost like in a degree of unapproachableness, right? Like you were such like. When Dalton and Troy moved to town, they weren't going to reach out to Spidey. They reached out to me. I was like the approachable guy. But I've known these kids. I introduced you to these kids.
You did.
But again, like Dalton and Troy, these are guys that knew what they wanted to do when they got here and have excelled to a very, very high degree. What do you?
Wouldn't be on my
Troy's
team.
An ACM nominated producer, right?
I wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, Troy is.
But no, they are. But yeah, it's weird when you kind of like try and mentor someone and you watch them almost like exceed your skill set, right?
Would you say? I mean, it's interesting. Like you say, hearing you tell the story, I guess it sounds like I'm doing a pretty decent job of adapting.
Dude, it's been you.
I mean, because you've been around when I've been bitching and moaning.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
I've seen you at
I
the
don't
highs
get
and I've
it.
seen
What
you at the lows. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
But it's been tough for you, I think, to navigate because of let's be honest, 3 decades of music video. You're one of the greatest music video directors of all time. I would argue that to the death. I don't think that anyone could really make a case for anything otherwise, right? Your accolades speak for themselves, and the fact that you're today doing the high level art, the biggest artist in Nashville. You're responsible for a majority of that imaging, and it's
I'm
impressive.
still here. I'm still relevant.
But I think because of the heyday you were in and knowing who you were, right? That the shift into content, it's almost like I don't think you have a big ego, but I think you had to sacrifice a little bit of the ego to be able to adapt. You know what I mean?
I still am.
Yeah.
To bids I'm getting today.
Yeah.
I'm assessing the artist's, the client's Instagram, and I see how big of an imprint they may have, and I'm like, oh, they don't have okay. Well, that rate's going to be a lot different.
Right.
They're not going to have that.
Right.
But I'm still going to put in the work. See, I know nothing else but that. But I mean, I guess I have a problem with the half day, full day rate thing. But you know,
well, most people, I'll tell you this: most people in town right now aren't doing half day rates. Like I hire for a lot of crews and stuff, and it's no one wants to do a half day rate because you can't do 2 in a day. You know what I mean?
You're done for the day.
So I get it. Yeah, it's interesting in town right now. Everybody's kind of feeling what we're talking about.
Wild West.
Yeah.
But I was saying on an earlier podcast, I was saying like when I first moved here, it was not that.
No.
Well, they were like, it has changed.
There were like 10 guys when you were doing it. There was really like 10 guys, maybe less in town that were doing all the work, right? Yes. Like Silva
for sure. Trey Fanjoy, not Shane, but I mean Trey Fanjoy, Roman White, Wes Edwards, who doesn't get enough props. Fuck, dude, that guy has been in the game since I showed up. He's been in the trenches. I need to get him on this podcast.
Get him on.
Do you know Wes Edwards?
I don't. Wes, you need to get on this podcast.
You don't even know Wes Edwards. All of Dierks Bentley's shit.
Okay. You gotta remember though, my knowledge of country music. I never intentionally listened to country music until I moved to Nashville. Like I knew who Garth Brooks was. I knew who Shania Twain was.
I didn't
right?
know shit.
But I didn't. So like, I don't know anything. Like 10 years is my knowledge base of country music. I've tried to backtrack and learn some things, but also, and again, I wasn't a big music video guy. Like I grew up in the TRL heyday, but I didn't like study music videos. I watched like movies and shit. This was not something I intended to get into. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm a student of it now. I watch the shit out of music videos now.
But did it bite you? Is it in you? Did it infect you? Like with me, it's a drug.
I know that I'm not meant to be the greatest music video director of all time. Like, and I know that because it's not like I enjoy it. I like doing it. I think I'm good enough at it, but I don't have that burning passion or desire for it. In certain instances, I do. I like working, like I like doing Lee videos because I have that relationship with him. I'm able to sit down and talk with him and chat things through and kind of, he can articulate his vision.
But why don't you do that with others? That's what I do with everyone.
Yeah, no, that's what you do with everyone. I just, for me, I just think that the amount of work it would take on my end to get to the level of where I would be having those conversations, I just have too many other things I'm focused on to really go at this fully. It's just, as well as anyone, it's like I am really good at walking the line of creative and business, right? Like I understand both sides and I'm able to kind of speak both languages. But yeah, sure, I'll do a little refill. Let's have a pause. This pause is brought to you by delicious Loud Lemon Peach Mango Dream. It's a peach mango dream to be here with you here today, boys. So thank you.
Finish what you're saying.
I don't know. Who fucking knows? Moving on. What's our next bullet point?
I agree. No, but I agree with you. I agree with you completely with the stance of how are we going to shape? Think about this. How can we educate young filmmakers,
Yeah.
young image makers?
Sure.
Because even yourself, even some other guests have said they did not come up with the same way I did. And like for instance, for 15 years worth, maybe 12 years worth of videos.
Yeah.
I could tell you if I saw 10 seconds of that clip, I can tell you the director from a certain era of videos.
Yeah.
I obsessed. I learned. Even my father to this day even jokes. He's like, yeah, I remember walking the house and, you know, Ryan would be like watching the same. I remember it's Metallica Until It Sleeps. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's Sam Bayer on his prime, dude. And he'd be like, yeah, you've watched it like 6 times. I'm like, I'm studying this, Dad. This is research. And even now he says it like research. But he says it with a joke like it was.
Yeah.
I studied this shit.
And I
obsessed
respect that.
about it.
I love that.
had a Kevin Kerslick film and video magazine
Yeah.
article, which by the way was only 2 pages long.
Right.
But it had a photo of him staying with a camera. You can tell in the background he's shooting the STP Vaseline video.
Wow.
With a 16 mil SR2 and, you know, Scott Weiland, you know. I remember it. I mean, and Kevin was so pivotal to my career to date. I'm going to get him on the podcast, I mean, for sure.
But it's been a lifelong passion for you.
Absolutely. An obsession.
And it's for me, it's been a great opportunity for me. And but dude, the only thing I've ever really been passionate about is people, you know? And that's, for me, like even the directing, the content shit, it's like, if I'm anything, I'm just a champion of people I believe in, you know, you included, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's where my strengths lie no question. And that can make a great director sometimes, absolutely. Right? To be able to see the best and get the best out of a performance and stuff. But ultimately that's not probably where I fit best. No disrespect to any project I've worked on or whatever. I love it. I think I have a good body of work I'm proud of. But I just have other things, other people, other projects, brands, organizations that I'm passionate about that pull me in too many directions for me to make this like my main focus, you know?
No, you're very much ahead or with the times. I feel like you can move with the current, with the best of them. I mean, you've adapted. I mean, think about where you've gone from kind of when you started here.
Yeah.
And now you've got your hands in. I mean, I wouldn't think of. I mean, you got advertisers, you got apps.
Yeah, I own multiple businesses. It's wild.
You've taken the. Yes, you had the interest of being in management, and that's what you are.
I do. I manage 3 acts. It's wild.
And yet you still blanket it.
Yeah.
Knowing the visual side of things.
I think it's important. I do think so. I manage. My buddy Dusty Black just signed with Benny Brown, who you've done a bunch of videos for. He sold Broken Bow. Aldine. Yeah. And then I manage obviously John Gurney and my buddy John Wesley Satterfield. But I think I'm probably not the best manager of all time, but I think it's important on the management side to have an understanding of branding and visual component and being able to do it from a perspective of understanding who the artist is. Like, it needs to be authentic. I think like the most important thing in our industry right now, even as far as content or visuals are concerned, is authenticity. I think that's what's selling. We've all lived with Instagram for a decade at this point. We are aware that people post the greatest moments of their lives, and it's not necessarily a realistic highlight reel, right?
Sure.
I think what we're gravitating towards now, and I think the reason you're seeing acts like Zach Bryan and Oliver Anthony with the song he put out is that authenticity that's shining through, even in the production components of that music, is what people are gravitating towards. So as a manager, I think like understanding those things and how to visually represent that authenticity in a way that's brandable is super important. And having an understanding of that should be a component of your management team,
Sure.
no matter what.
Well, you've always maintained a unbiased approach to.
Yeah.
I feel like you know where certain things can lie maybe in your lane.
Sure.
And certain other things are like, yeah, I think for the betterment of this project or this situation, we should hire out.
Yeah, I mean, I have done to the best of my ability, and this is just in life in general. I try to remove my ego. Yeah, I try to be cognizant of the fact that my ego exists and remove it whenever I can. And especially in the film world, I think as a director, it's easy to get caught up in the ego. But my goal has always just been to perform the job to the best of my capability. So to your point, yeah, if I today, we were talking about this earlier, I got hit up for a photo shoot that I knew you would be better for. And so I sent, hey, here's what my rate would be, but for just, a fraction more in the big scheme of things, you could get Spidey to go do a run and gun thing, and the imaging you're looking for is that you're referencing, he's responsible for. So like do that, like, and yeah, I guess even to my own detriment to my own business, I still care enough that like that's a friend of mine that reached out.
You've always been that way.
Yeah, but it's not. I wouldn't, to anyone out there listening, it's not maybe the best way to run your business, but it is. It's just that's who I am. And I think you're the same way, and I think it does occasionally do us a disservice, but the amount that I see you care and the way I know I feel about projects, it's almost like sometimes you care more than the people that are paying you. And it's unfair, I think, to put someone in a position to care, and it's hard to turn that shit off. You know what I mean? It's hard. I know it's hard for you to walk onto a set, not get what you're needing, and feel like, okay, I'm just not going to perform today. Like, that's not in your blood. Like, sure. You treat everything like a battle. You go in the trenches, Absolutely. And you're going to fucking get the shot, no matter what's stacked against you. But I think a lot of times, we end up caring more, and not even with the ego in mind, not even about like, oh, I want this for my portfolio or my reel. Or it's like, I want to make sure I'm doing the artist the service that they deserve without all the fucking barriers and bureaucracy and bullshit in the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the epitome of me.
Mm-hmm.
I've really, most of my work is when artists call me directly.
But that's, dude, what a testament.
Most all of my work.
But what a testament to your skill set, your brand, and who you are, that you command that. Artists see you as an equal, sure. Right? Like, a lot of times I say content guys get no respect, and I mean, they don't. Okay, like they really don't. But it's not a bad gig. But you even if the team around the artist doesn't understand who you are or whatever, the fact that the artist does,
yeah,
that commands the respect from everybody else if they run their camp the right way. But they see you as an equal, and I see you. I would put you as an equal in that category. Like, if I make a book of photos I've shot, there will be a portrait of Spidey Smith, because to me, you're a celebrity in that same lane. You know what I mean, though? Like, you are one of the GOATs in your lane, the same way that they are. But they recognize that and they respect that, and that's why they reach out, because you're an equal.
I sometimes I feel like the business side of that doesn't see that. So, like, for example, if I work exclusively, I get a phone call from an artist. Hey, listen to this single. It's not even mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
They'll let you know, by the way, it's not mixed.
Yeah,
we get it.
Yeah, I get it. Come up with an idea, and I never come up with 100% idea.
Right.
God, no. I meet with them. It takes time, and it takes like a week or so before I even holler at them. But so much of that idea is collaborative with them that I feel once we present to the label, we're handcuffing them.
Yeah.
We're forcing their hand.
Right.
And if they have X to spend this idea, and I don't I don't jack up budgets. There's a right way.
There's a reason for every line. Yeah.
There's a correct way to do this.
Right.
I know where to sacrifice. I know where to make submissions so that we can still save some dollars, but I can execute what I say. So much is forcing their hand, and I feel like
but then who are they going to blame? They blame the artist, or are they going to blame the artist director buddy that they brought in? You know what I mean? Like, you're always going to be the bad guy in that situation.
Yes. You're always,
and you don't mind being the bad guy
unless you hit homers,
right?
You know, and that's the pressure, or that's the drug, or that's the
look
fix.
at my stats.
Yeah,
I command this.
I mean,
I don't know. I go down to the minors if you want. Fuck.
It's gotten to the point now where I've literally, like, I don't know how many
call Chase.
How many winners have gone by where I'm like, I'm so sick and tired of people saying, "Do you have visual references?" So I have said, okay,
here's my website.
Here it is. Christ. Yeah, exactly.
Your website's badass.
My website is going to be tight. I'm going to go into every video, and I'm going to tell you a story in still frames. So you're going to have 400 still frames of I don't know how many videos. It's in there.
I've never known you to not be working on your website. This man is obsessive with the website.
I am.
But it's good.
I am.
But yes, that's all you need. Listen, at this point in town, if they need references on the name Spidey Smith, then they're new. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, honey.
Yeah, but I still feel, I don't know. I still feel like, I don't know, some of the new wave of the new regime, the new regime of filmmaking, for me is, and a few of us, even Justin.
Yeah.
Well, he's with one entity. For me, I'm still in the I don't have a jersey guy. I don't belong to a team.
Sure.
So I'm out, saying I'm great. I can do this, So I'm fighting in many ways the content current.
But you're not. I disagree with you because you're not. You're in a different category. No one's going to hire Spidey Smith for content, as they shouldn't. But what they can do is hire Spidey Smith for a music video day. We'll call it, and you've seen this. All right, we're going to shoot a music video, and then we're going to have a photo shoot on each set, right? And you taught me, like, in music videos, we're going to create worlds. Fuck a narrative, create worlds, okay?
Exactly.
So artist A, 3 worlds for the music video. We're going to do a photo shoot while we break down each one, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. We're going to do liners on set for Spotify, for all the DSPs, for Apple Music, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. And then on the next set, we're going to do this bank of content. It's one day where if you're given the proper budget, the proper tools, the proper crew, you can start thinking, now we're not coming to Spidey Smith with, hey, we need content.
Sure.
We're coming to Spidey Smith with, we need a buffet of visual deliverables, and we want you to tell us how to do it. And that's the respect that you command for something like that. And we just have to change the way people think about shooting content. Because again, even the content shit is getting into this cookie cutter bullshit operation, right? Where it's like, oh, this worked for this person, this is what we're going to do. We saw it with Walker Hayes, with Fancy Like on TikTok, right?
Oh, yeah.
It went viral on TikTok. Why did it go viral? Well, because he's got 7 or 8 kids, right? And they made a dance on TikTok, and it went viral. And it was the type of song that people would want to dance to on TikTok, and everything lined up for that song. And it exploded. But to try and replicate that,
yeah, every artist is different.
It's not going to work. There's rare moments where those things like align. So stop trying to chase things that have already happened and exist, and start focusing on the next thing that's going to change the mold of what's happening. And I think that's where this idea that you have of creating this new team, of fuck wearing someone else's jersey, I'm going to fucking make the jerseys, right? Mm-hmm. And creating a collective of the most badass directors, content creator, whatever you want to call it, right? The guys that can go out and get a bunch of shit done. And really taking ownership back of this is how it's done. If you want to be elite in how your brand and visuals and aesthetic is viewed, this is how it's done. If you want to go keep hiring lowest hanging fruit, you know, to get the job done, and there's no consistency, there's no cohesiveness, there's no brand to what's going on, that's fine. But eventually, like, cream rises to the top. And
you think so?
You
don't think we're in a good enough good enough category?
No. All you have to do is look at the biggest acts in each format and what they're doing. Don't pay attention to anything else that's happening, right? Look at what Tanner Gallagher and Hardy are doing. That's setting the tone for what road content, exclusive backstage, like lifestyle content, what that should look like. That's it. That's what's going to be emulated now. So anything else that's happening that's cookie cutter, that will become the cookie cutter bullshit everybody's trying to emulate. But what I'm saying is, fuck that. Do what they did authentically and find your own brand. And the only way that happens is with a creative mind and a visionary that can actually fucking execute and make it happen and set out the game plan.
Do you think, okay, so with that kind of importance that you just put on that creative mind, should there be any kind of ownership of the content created?
In a perfect world, I think management would be a triangle.
Yeah.
I think you would have the way it exists right now, you would have your bird's eye view, Rolodex, connection, like the main guy, right? That like steers the ship, sees everything from the top down. You got your day-to-day that's going to keep everything in line. But I think a third component of management should be the creative component. There's so much that comes into an artist's career now that has to do with branding, visuals, and deliverables, right?
Yeah.
Any deal that Lee does at this point, whether it be Bojangles or Yingling or Window World or Costa's sunglasses, that deal is contingent upon deliverables that are almost always visual. Sometimes it's a show, a private show. Sometimes it's a meet and greet thing, blah, blah, blah. But most times it's going to be some sort of visual, whether it be commercial or liners or branded component on Instagram or whatever. Mm-hmm. There needs to be an understanding between the business side of that transaction and what it takes to execute the creative side of the deliverables. Yes. And I think that gets lost in translation a lot of times. And I think it's important that as an artist, when you're protecting your brand and you're doing these brand deals, that you have someone in-house that even if they're not going to run the production of the commercial, they're at least there as a voice representing you in the process of anything being created.
Yes. And they did for, Chris Stapleton on Ram. Oh, my Lord.
You've dealt with it a million times. Yes. How many times have we been on set and they fly in, hey, we got this brand that's giving us $5,000, blah, blah, blah. Well, it didn't go to our budget.
And that's something that I have battled. It's like, okay, so if I'm a commercial director and you get X a day.
Right.
But yet you're doing a music video. But because the budget, the record label and the team doesn't have the budget to afford the creative. Right. We want to align it with some other sponsor that can offset the money.
It happens all the time in music videos, by the way.
All the time. But yet that is merely for the team creating, or the above the line, who are creating those visuals, who are moving mountains to make that happen, which is a punch list of shots that have to happen by a contract to adhere to those guidelines of that advertising.
They tell you how many seconds it has to be in frame, where in frame, logo, what lensing.
Yes, everything.
It's insane.
To not have any compensation.
No.
Go back to the creative, the director, the producer, whomever, the production company, for making it happen. But the only thing that is told back to us is, no, now you are privileged to do the job because now they can afford you.
Yeah, no, not only do we have to disrupt the treatment you submitted by inserting something that doesn't fit into anything you've written, but you're not going to monetarily benefit from this. This is just so we can get the job done.
And afford you.
Right. I have a worse story. Like, and not to throw anyone under the bus, this is just the way the business works,
Sure.
right? And this is why anybody up and coming right now, learn copyright law, learn how to protect your intellectual property. Like, these are things you don't learn it the hard way, but on a music video for a label, the label is putting up the budget, right? They own the footage. We sign what's called a work for hire agreement, right? So we say, hey, we're going to do the job for this amount, but we relinquish any ownership of the footage we shot. It is owned by the entity that is paying for the production, okay? Sure. So I did a video for Lee called More Beer. Me and Justin Clough co-directed it. Yep. One of my favorite videos of all time. It's awesome, but it was like pulling teeth because it wasn't for a single. So, you know, like budgets get pretty tight when it's not going to radio. Yeah. So half the budget, I'm not going to give out numbers because I don't want to, but half the budget was put up by the label and half the budget was put up by Yuengling, right? Sure. And I mean, we essentially shot a Yuengling commercial. It was for More Beer. Go watch the video.
Right out of the gates.
Fucking awesome. Yeah. It's a fucking awesome video. I love it so much. But it wasn't a single, so, you know, no one's seen it. But anyway, so we go in, we crush the job. It is not a big budget, and we, like, really crushed it. I'm so proud of that video. I'm watching PGA Tour Championships, like 6-7 months later, and commercial break comes on, and it's the music video that Justin and I directed, like our creative, our idea, like on a commercial. Little QR code for Yuengling, blah, blah, blah. And then it became a Yuengling commercial. The music video became a Yuengling commercial. I am aware, because I know how this shit works, that those rights had to be purchased, right? Like Yuengling had to purchase the rights to that footage to use in a commercial from the person that owned the footage, which was the record label that we signed a work for hire for. Sure. But it's like, holy shit, shot a Yuengling commercial for... And I mean, I think I cut my director's fee on that video to make it work. You know what I mean?
And the label made double. Well, not double. They made their money back.
Oh, they crushed it. Their return was insane. If they put up half the budget for a low budget music video and then it was a lot. And not to say that anyone did anything wrong there. No. That's how the business works.
That's how it works.
Kudos to everyone. I'm just saying sometimes that's how things go.
Don't you feel like at some point when you're shooting all this brand material for these artists, whether it's music videos, whether it's content that gets used for a video that gets stripped away for a high-end commercial by directors who do commercial. I mean, like you're getting talent for a reduced price, right? Merely at you're lucky to do the job, and now it gets spread out. Oh, you know, and everybody gets their piece of the pie, but the creative.
It's, you know what, in our business, in our industry, and especially when you're a young man, not at the level we're at, where you have mouths to feed and whatever. There is like an element of a cool factor, right? Like, it was cool to be watching the PGA and see something I shot like in a commercial. It was cool. They did a QR code on like their 30 packs of beer, 24 packs of beer, whatever, that would take you to the music video and stuff. Like, there were some cool elements of things that happened with that like maybe 10 years ago I would have been like, all right, that's cool. Like, that's cool enough for me to, but no, you just get older and you get deeper into the business and it becomes a career, right? And you start thinking about like, damn, man, that could have been like, I could have put up the money for the half of the video. Like, Lee and I could have put up the money. I mean, it wasn't a big budget, you know what I mean? Like, and then we could have sold, but you just, you know, that's the industry we're in.
What would you say? I mean, yes, it is. What would you say from your lens, from your perspective of where you've come? Because that's why I wanted you here.
Yeah.
What would you say the pitfalls would be for new content creators to look out for?
Pitfalls as far as what environments not to get into?
Well, if someone came to you and was like, "Hey, I want to start shooting."
Okay. Yeah.
Blah 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 blah, and I want to get into.
There's probably 3 or 4 things I would say, and not in any order. But the first one would be always attribute some kind of value to what you do, even if you're going out there and you're trying to get your foot in the door, so maybe you go do a gig for free so they can see your work or whatever, like, you should always attribute value to what you do. I wouldn't ever work for free. That's like the first thing.
I remember telling you that.
Yeah, but and I was guilty of it.
Okay.
I was guilty of it. Well, eventually you get to a point where you set your rate, but I'm saying even early on, if it's like your first gig and they want to take you out, like set your rate low but get paid so they know like you're not a pushover.
You need to
assign value to what you do.
Understand, I'm here.
2 is be good at what you do and over deliver. That doesn't mean be great at what you do, right? It just means you need to care about what you do. You need to go out to do a job, perform for that job, and over deliver what you said you were going to do early on, right? Always, but early on especially. Like, you want to make sure that you're showing your value out the gate. 3, be a good hang. And you will agree this is the most important thing, I think, because you can be great and no one wants to be around you. And like, in this world, you're going to be on tight sets. You're going to be on a tour bus. You're going to be backstage. You're going to have all this access. And it's like, man, if you can't be trusted, or you're inserting yourself, or you're Gurney, or you're any of these things other than like someone people don't mind being around, you don't have to be the life of the party. You shouldn't be the life of the party, honestly. You should be a fly on the wall, but you should be someone that people enjoy being around, because you're going to be in some of the most intimate situations that these artists ever experience, right? 4, honestly, those 3. I'm sure there's a 4th, but those 3 are really fucking important.
Persistence.
Yeah.
Mine, it would be persistence. You know, I believed so much. I believed I can do it.
Yeah.
I believed it so much that if all I had to do was just keep at it,
right,
it was done.
And that's coming from a person who knew this is what they wanted to do, passionate about what they want to do. Sure. You don't necessarily have to be that. You can fall into this shit and care about it. And like, I'm a prime example of having a decade-long career in this town, and kind of falling into it. But at the end of the day, care. Oh, here's the 4th thing.
Okay, give it.
This is important.
Bring that heat.
This is something that people aren't.
I like it.
All right. If you're out with an artist, if you get the opportunity, you start working with an artist or whatever, that's like the gig you want, and you post a photo of them before their team gets the opportunity to look through the photos and post it. If there's an indication that like you're trying to get laid on your Instagram feed, like, you're out. They're not gonna. You got to learn that early on. Like, you're out there doing a job. Your job is not to make your feed look cool, like you have access. You'll get those opportunities. You know what I mean? Those will come. But I see too many young kids that we're sending out that I'm, like taking under my wing and training and shit. It's like, let the artist feed eat first. Like, repost the shit. They'll tag you. Like, don't worry about it. But don't. That's like something I see early, young, green kids doing a lot, where it's like they want their circles to know, like, I'm out with this person, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, it'll come.
Oh, okay. So flapping their wings a little too
Dude, don't
quick.
do that, because you're gonna piss the teams off.
Yes.
MGK, right?
Yes. No. I mean,
We've all done it. I've done it. Trust, I learned.
I think mine was FGL.
Oh yeah.
Tyler.
That's right.
Tyler didn't, but I posted what was already posted by FGL.
Yeah.
It might have been one frame that wasn't.
What was the MGK thing? There was an MGK thing.
Yeah, which one was that? What?
Maybe you don't want to talk about this.
No,
you went on set.
You
went on set and snapped.
Yeah.
And posted.
Yeah.
And then I think.
No, I mean, I posted, and then like a year.
Right.
Not only a year later, I'm like, hey, to the director, I got a really good photo. I'd like to post this, and I had said that a couple times, and the video, I made sure that it wasn't coming out.
Right.
And the photo had nothing to do with the video.
No, it's a really dope photo.
Yeah, so I was like,
Was
let's just, that one. Yeah, let's let her rip. I mean, Wolf didn't care. Wolf's whole approach, and that's what's so addictive to working with him, is basically your shot, your kill.
Right. Oh, he's been great with your prints and everything. Like
your shot, your kill. He wants you to go out.
No, he wants you to go out because
Yeah.
he sees you as an equal.
Yes.
Yes.
And get that moment. And if you get that moment, he understands the big picture.
Dude, because he's been on the independent grind his whole. He knows mailbox money. He knows
everything. Like, hey, everything is circulating and making it all work. And I mean, I liked what you just said about the don't post too soon, because I do feel like we get into a rut where we live for the social media part of things.
Well, dude, it's our business.
Exactly. But we're forgetting. I mean, we're forgetting we're being hired.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
To snap or to capture epicness.
My thing is, all right, if you're new and you go out and the artist you're with, like you go fucking crush it, and like their last 5 Instagram posts or videos or photos you've done or whatever, and like you can tell like it's happening, they're gonna start tagging you. You're gonna get the girls that are or guys or whatever that are gonna hit the tag, and they're gonna see who you are, and then they're maybe gonna follow you so they can hit you up at the next show to maybe get access and shit. All the shit you want is gonna happen. Just like don't burn it before it can. Like,
so are you running into that problem from kind of like a manager?
Just young kids. It's not even. I think it's just people in general, right? Like you wanna. It's that highlight reel mentality of I touched this, I was there, I had access to this, blah blah blah. I just like. I don't know. I think everything's moving away from that. And I think you just like. The dick measuring contest is over, and it's like this authenticity. Like I think right now it would be cool for a young photographer or videographer that wants to get out on the road to like literally like document selfie style their whole process of trying to get into camps, and then like show us the lifestyle of you out on the road as a new photographer and shit, and don't even fucking put the artist in it. You know what I mean? Like there's just different ways to do it that like don't ride someone's coattails to try and feel cool. I don't know, man.
Do you think content creators are riding the coattails of artists thinking it's forever?
I think that no, not necessarily. I think that there are people that want to get into the content world to have access. Okay. I think there's people that want to get into any facet of the music industry to have access. Sure. It's the nature of the beast. But the same way that I don't think an artist that wants to get into music for fame or money should be doing it, is I don't think anyone that wants to get into content for access should be doing it. I think you should get into content because you want to cut your teeth and move into something else.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't think that living in the content, unless you're going to build out a content studio where you have a roster of guys you can send out or whatever. But if you're trying to make a sustainable living being a content guy, going out and having a couple different gigs that you tour with or whatever, it's not sustainable. It's not, that's not a way, it's a young man's game. That is a great way for a young man or woman to come out the gate, get some experience, cut their teeth, learn some skills, make some connections, but then you phase out of it. You know, like I don't just do content for Lee anymore. Sure. You know what I mean? I do his music videos now. I do his photo shoots, like, which is insane because you did his photo shoots. Sure. You know what I mean? I'm competing with like the best. Sure. But I graduated to that. I earned that. And it took a long time to get there. So I just you don't want to live in. And
you've worn many hats to get there.
I've worn a lot of hats to get there. I've had
a totally different road than I went.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, to any young man or woman that's watching that is interested in this career path, like I think this is a stepping stone. Content is a stepping stone.
Sure.
Unless you attach yourself to someone who is going to have a meteoric rise to fame, which is rare. Yeah. You know,
but then it's not forever.
It's not forever, but I think, I look at someone like Tanner, like,
sure,
he's indispensable. He's not replaceable. Content guys are replaceable to 90%, right? That's like, you know, they're going to do a doc on him like that. Yeah. If you have the opportunity, kind of what you did with Yellow Wolf, if you have that opportunity where you have that kind of relationship and you can build,
it's profound.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. But otherwise, there needs to be the next leap that you're going to go into.
No, that experience for me with Yellow Wolf was profound.
Yeah.
I mean, it was my entrance into the content world, I guess, for me. But it also, I did it my way. I did it all my way.
No, you changed the way that people viewed it.
I didn't know better.
Yeah. There were acts that emulated. Like there was a time on Instagram where, because you guys were doing it was the right crop. Remember when you had to crop it right? You had to like literally put it on a white square to crop it so that you could. I mean, that was how many people ripped that. like y'all were the model for a while. There were a lot of people watching, you know, and that's the other thing that people don't understand. People are watching. Your work will be seen. Yeah. Like,
I like that advice. I really do. I think that's a good one for young kids.
Yeah,
not kids, young up and comers.
Up and comers. Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming out, man.
I feel like.
That was fun.
We could go forever. We could. We haven't hung out in a couple months, so.
I mean, I put down one of them.
I put down more than I thought I would. I love you.
That was fun. Thank you, man. Love you too.
Of course.